Sam could buy 4 magazines and 3 books with all his money. And that means that he would have no money left. Okay. He decided to buy 2 magazines and a book. He then had $84 left. If a magazine costs a third the price of a book, how much did Sam have at first? Okay, well, I think this is where we start looking at we've got, if a magazine costs a third the price of a book. Okay, so we've got magazines. I'm just actually going to do like a little key here. Magazines and books. Okay, a third the price of a book. That means if we have a book, we're going to divide that into 3 equal size portions. That's each of these is 1/3 of a book, and a magazine costs 1/3 the price of a book. Okay, can you see that? All right, you might have said this another way around. You could have said that a book costs 3 times as much as a magazine, and that you would end up with exactly the same model. They mean the same things. Okay, it's just which way round you're going. All right, so one unit is going to represent a magazine and 3 units a book, okay, in the model that we're going to draw. So it says he decided to buy 2 magazines and a book and had $84 left. Now, let's actually what we're going to do is we are first going to draw a model that represents all of what Sam could buy with his money. So that would be 4 magazines. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 4 magazines. Okay, I can put M, 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 M. Okay, so that's the 4 magazines and 3 books. Okay, so that's 1 book, and maybe I'll write book across here. That's 1 book, 2 books, and 3 books. Okay, that's 4 magazines and 3 books, and that would have been all his money spent. But he didn't do that. He only bought 2 magazines and a book, and that meant that he had $84 left. Now, let's see if we can draw this in a way that now you've got an answer guide, and in the answer guide, what it does is try, because you want to put the things that he doesn't buy together so that you can attribute the $84 to it. Okay, so he buys 4 magazines and he buys 2 magazines and a book, which means he doesn't buy 2 books and 2 magazines. So I can do, and this is what the answer that you've got does, is it puts, this is the bit that he doesn't buy. Okay, does that make sense? And so that is worth 84. Let me draw it another way, and this is how I would think of it, and I think I would find it easier this way. So I would think about what he does buy. So I would put 2 magazines. Okay, these are my 2 magazines, and he buys 1 book. Okay, remember a book is 3 parts, so that's 1 book. And then he doesn't buy, so what's left over? 2 magazines and 2 books. So there's 2 magazines and then 2 books. So that's 1 book, and that's the second book that he doesn't buy. Okay, so this is what he buys: 2 magazines and 1 book, and he could have bought these, but he didn't. All right, there's 2 magazines and 2 books. And it's that. Now remember, after he bought this, he had 84 left. Now, if we compare these two, they're going to have the same thing. Here we have 2 magazines, and if I make it a bit easier to see the books, 1 book, 2 books. There's 1 book there, another book there, another book there. But here we've marked out the 2 books and 2 magazines that he doesn't buy, even though he could have. So hopefully you can see that we've now got this 84, and we know that these equal parts together have a value of 84. All right. So how many parts are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got 84. If we divide 84 by 8, we get 1050. I'm saying 1050 because it's actually money as opposed to 10.5 if we were just dealing with another kind of value. Okay, so each of these parts has a value of 1050. All right, I'm just going to, so 1050. I'm not going to write in any of the others because it's just too little. There's just no point. I know that each of these has a value of 1050. Now, what are we asked? How much did Sam have at first? Well, that's all of these parts. So how many parts are there altogether? Well, we know that that is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 parts altogether. So there's 13 parts altogether. If we multiply 13 by the 1050, we are going to find out how much money he had altogether, which is 136.50. Okay, so I don't think there's a necessarily, you just have to, you're going to draw what seems to make sense to you. I prefer this way of doing it, and I just thought about, well, I know I want to group together all of the parts and the money that's left, the books, the things that weren't bought and the money that was left, and that's going to help me. I could still do it in the middle of the model like this, but this just felt easier to me. But as long as you can make sense of what it is that you're drawing and you get to the right answer and you can do all the right calculations, then that's just fine.